Everybody. At the time of recording, we're approximately 2,100 Division I players in the transfer portal, and there's no one I'd rather break it all down with than my guy, Mike Holland, who's going to bring us the latest and greatest in what is still a relatively new offseason. He joins me to do that right now, recording live from somewhere. This is One and Done.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that One and Done train. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos a One and Done, your fast work of college basketball información. We're powered by the galaxy's greatest website. That's drroto.com. My name is Jay Heinrich, and I happen to be the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train. Follow me on X at Dr. William Cannon. I'll follow you back. But let's talk to my guy first. At MC Holland 34, the captain around these parts, El Capitan himself, the OG Money Mike. Find him at MC Holland 34 on X. Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, what it do?
Yo, what up, my man? It's been great having some time off, right? We haven't been on since Tuesday, so a little bit of some relaxation, but not really because the transfer portal has been bumping. And me and CC Hustle dropped our top 200 transfer portal big board update on Dr. Roto earlier today, and of course we gotta fix that thing up because there's already been 5 to 10 more commitments and a couple of guys entering tonight. So. There you go. It's just the way of the world during college basketball season in the transfer portal, man. But excited to jump on here, talk about some team spotlights, and just talk about all the madness that's happened since Tuesday.
Yeah, looking forward to spotlighting a few teams here, getting to know some names and maybe some new destinations as well. So if you're joining us, make sure you hit all those buttons, like and subscribe, notification bell so you don't miss a minute of our coverage. Our guy Michael Peterson, number one in the chat tonight. He's usually up there right in the top few for sure every night. Michael, let us know how you're feeling. We hope you're recovering well after your procedure. Hope everything's going well there. We got Darren E. in there. I do feel like I'm a little bit refreshed, with the bags under the eyes are looking a little bit better these days. So thanks for noticing, Darren. Good to see you in there always. The liveliest live chat in all of college basketball, Mike, right there. And right here on One and Done. So hit all those buttons, like, subscribe, notification bells, and wouldn't be an off-season show or a show in general without Peanut Butter Posse coming in. A big fan of Mark Pope and his appendages is Peanut Butter Posse. So shout outs to our resident Kentucky fan, one of many. We love our Kentucky fans. We love us some Big Blue Nation around these parts. So make sure you hit all those buttons at One and Done CBB on all the socials, but mainly on X. Make sure you follow us over there. All right, Mike, let's not beat around the bush any longer. Let's get to it. Man, we're at 1,499 subs, right? Like, who's going to be the 1,500? Let's just get there. Somebody push that button. Somebody push that button. Be 1,500, all right? We need you. Push that button. All right, let's get to it. News from around the country, Mike. Let's start with the aforementioned Big Blue Nation and Kentucky, who loses out on a high school recruit here. Consensus top 25 recruit Acaden Lewis denounces Kentucky. No, he announces his decommitment from Kentucky. Mike, they've been killing it in the transfer portal. We've talked about them before on our transfer portal shows. What are your thoughts on this loss? How does it affect your outlook on this class?
It doesn't really affect much for me. I mean, obviously, it hurts to lose a top 25 prospect, essentially. But playing time, he has to look at it from, this is kind of getting tougher to picture where he's going to get 18 to 20 minutes. I mean, you got Jalen Lowe, who's going to be handling the point guard duties. I know he's more of a combo-type guard. Otega Oweh still hasn't announced what he's going to do, but most expect that he's going to be back. I mean, he was playing 33 to 35 minutes at that two-guard spot. Perry, Chandler, Noah, we projected them to be back. Jasper Johnson is the headliner of this recruiting class, a 5-star guard coming in. So, if you're Lewis, you start to look at this roster and you kind of wonder what your ceiling would be for playing time. So I'm not really surprised. This is going to happen every portal cycle. We're going to see, over recruited high school talent, right? Because of the transfer portal. So I'm not shocked, dude.
Yeah, I mean, one of those things where it's just there's so many decisions to be made, right? And some of these players are trying to think 2, 3 years ahead from now. And if they're not getting as much run as they might think they should get or would want to at a program like Kentucky, it's easy to understand, maybe why you want to get a different look. Yeah, Peanut Butter Posse knows. Subscribe, it's free. Boom, boom. Just push that button.
It's easy too. You just
easy.
Like that.
You push. Y'all are on your phones all the time anyway.
Yeah.
Boop, 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 boop. Right there, I felt like that commercial that used to come on daytime. You're sitting at home on your couch. Which one of those trade school commercials was that from? Let me know in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. It was the dude. You're sitting at home on your couch, probably while I was watching Judge Judy or something. But let me know if you know what I'm talking about. And if you subscribe, you get great information like what you just got right there from me. So make sure you push that button, hit on the like and subscribe buttons. Let's get back to the basketball here. Creighton securing its future program leader. I'm not always the biggest fan of the coach in waiting scenarios, but High Point head coach Alan Huss will head back to Creighton as an assistant and will have that title of head coach in waiting. He's a Creighton alum. Mike, what do you think about this move?
So yeah, I'm kind of with you, Jay. I'm not the biggest fan of head coach in waiting, but in this situation, it feels like the right move because Creighton, obviously in the Big East, but they're not this powerhouse conference. You see that, Alan Huss has been doing great things at High Point. He was going to be a Power 5 coach within the next year or two anyway. This kind of makes the transition from Coach McDermott pretty easy. And I would imagine McDermott has said 1 or 2 more years before he moves on. So I think I like it from just an overall standpoint of you're going to get a guy that's going to be highly sought after over the next couple of years, right? You bring him in. He wants to be there. It's his alma mater. And then it allows the continuity of the roster, right? The worst thing that can happen is when a coach it's like you see a Leonard Hamilton, you see a Larinaga, like the guy retires and then all of a sudden you have all this chaos and everything. Like this is just a very, very smooth transition that's going to happen. It's going to allow them to bring in talent without, fear that guys are going to be like, hey, well, is this coach going to be there? Even though it's kind of like that anyway, every year is basically a reset for every program. But it feels like programs like Creighton are kind of built off of retaining some of their players. They're not the biggest swingers in NIL. So I like it, man. I like it. So we'll see how it works out for them. I would imagine probably not this year, but probably the next year.
JT Toppin announcing his return to Texas Tech. Mike, that was some news that there's not many programs across the country that can say they were as relieved to hear someone was coming back than the Red Raiders up in Lubbock. Reports are of a $4 million NIL deal here at Texas Tech. He is one of the top players returning in the sport, so totally understand in terms of the scale of some of these deals that we've heard of already, why he might get $4 million in the grand scheme of things. But also, he's also set to make more than a late first-round pick in the NBA. So, I mean, if he is not going to get that lottery, if he's not basically guaranteed that lottery pick, you're looking at a guy that's just going to make a little bit more money and maybe improve his draft stock for next year. But either way, he just got a lot richer. Mike, what are your thoughts on JT Toppin returning to Texas Tech, a team that was, obviously not that far from a Final Four?
$4 million to play 35 games? I mean,
Sheesh.
Come on. I get it. If it's like Cooper Flag, a lottery pick, and you're doing this, you're kind of questioning, right? You want to get to that second contract in the NBA. If you're a late first rounder, it makes the decision maybe a little bit easier. Although I think he's a guy that can play for a long time in the NBA. So, but $4 million is going to speak to a kid. He's going to be a junior in college. He's going to be another year older. He's in the same system. He's already the Big 12 Player of the Year and an All-American. So, this might be light work for him. I mean, 20 of these games are going to be light work. 20 to 25 of these games are going to be light work for this guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, and Darren's saying $4 million is what the Vols were paying Nico. And he's asking when a Nico situation could happen at college basketball. It's probably going to happen sooner than later. I mean,
yeah,
that's just where we're at. It's madness out here.
Obviously referring to the quarterback there that just practiced all spring and then right before the
Like,
spring game decided,
I
pay
need
me
more
this or I'm walking. And they were like, nah.
Yeah.
And he walked. So I'm sure we'll see it in college basketball sooner than later. But Toppin immediately like top 3 for your Wooden Award. I know there's some players coming back that you have a little bit higher than him on the big
20
board.
and 10 guy.
But I mean, like he's instant preseason All-American and looking to do some damage in the Big 12 and hopefully take another deep run in the tournament if you are a Tech fan. Great stuff there for the tortilla tossers, as Darren likes to call them in the chat. Of course, free tortillas for everybody. A little tradition up there in Lubbock. And we have a tradition around here of pushing that subscribe button when you're hanging out with us here on One and Done. So make sure you do that. Are we at 1,500 yet? I don't know what happened. If we fell out of the Daddy Algo rhythm, the algae rhythm, I don't know, because we've been stuck on $14.99 for what feels like an eternity. Somebody be that person for us and push that button. Get us to 1,500 subs. And then beyond, we're shooting for 11 fulfillion gazillion, I believe, is the actual goal that we're shooting for. So help us get there by pushing that button. Mike, you were talking as we were coming on air about the news happening leading up to our show and probably things happening as we speak right now. But a little bit of late news tonight. Alabama transfer forward Jaron Stevenson commits to the Tar Heels of North Carolina, and BYU transfer wing Cannon Catchings commits to Georgia. Any quick thoughts on those two?
It's clear that North Carolina wants some bigs that can shoot. Vasar and now Stevenson coming in. So they're definitely addressing that aspect of their program. And I like this move for Georgia. Like Catchings, everybody thought he was going to North Carolina. Stevenson ends up going to North Carolina. Catchings makes the move to Georgia. I think that's a pretty good spot for him, man. I think he's going to be able to do some good things. He had the rough start with Matt Painter at Purdue saying, you can go ahead and walk. He ends up at BYU. He's out of the rotation by the end of the year, but he's a highly touted, freshman. So going into a sophomore year, I think going into Georgia, I think he'll be in a decent situation. Mike White has shown to be able to max out ceilings of players, man. So I'm interested to see this move and how it works out.
Push all those buttons, like and subscribe. There's some quick news and notes there of some of the latest portal entries, latest and greatest, and we still have a lot more to come. First, we're going to hit some portal team spotlights. As a matter of fact, we're going to spotlight 5 different teams. So show your broskies in basketball some love and hit those like and subscribe buttons. Make sure you follow our guy at Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets. Eric, the Blue, pushing buttons every once in a while and getting all your graphics and doing a bunch of stuff behind the scenes, pushing all the right buttons in studio and out. So we appreciate our guy Eric. And then Mike talked about him earlier. The Hall of Famer CC Hustle, our guy at the Real Napier, pushing some buttons tonight and helping Mike out with that portal board. It's going to be at least 1,200, right? Top 1,200 portal board by the time it's done. It's
going to be 500, sir.
All right. Well,
cut off is 500.
No matter how you want to see Mike and Nape's top 800 board, make sure you get it over at drroto.com. That's where you can see that and check that out. Check out all the good stuff over at drroto.com as well, and push those like and subscribe buttons for us over on YouTube. Alrighty, let's break down a few team spotlights here at Texas Tech. And Darren asking quite a fantastic question here. Who will make more money in their lifetime, JT Toppin or the valedictorian of Texas Tech this year? Judging at the start that JT Toppin has already gained, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my bet on him. Mike, and how do you feel about that one before we break down this team?
I feel pretty confident because I'm also going to factor in the 1.5 or whatever that he got last year to come over from New Mexico. So, yeah, I think he's doing all right for himself.
That's the type of stuff that Darren brings to the table right there in the live chat. Way to go,
right there, man.
Appreciate you for sure. All right, let's get to this Red Raider transfer class. Obviously, we talked about Toppin. The great news for Red Raider fans, his return is about as big a boost as anybody in the portal could actually give you. Sometime the biggest addition are just the ones that are right there in your own backyard, right? Fresh off an Elite Eight appearance, Coach Grant McCaslin has the program knocking on the door of a national championship. This week, the Red Raiders secured 3 big-time commitments in the portal. LeJuan Watts, the Swiss Army knife from Washington State, who committed on Saturday night. He joined Santa Clara guard Tyeree, Bryan, and UNC Greensboro guard Donovan Atwell, who announced earlier on Sunday. Mike, these players, again, this is what Texas Tech has done well for a long, long time, even before McCaslin, when Beard was there, sort of getting just guys that were fits and using that system to get the best, to squeeze the best player out of them. And all three of these players feel like that kind of natural fit for this system.
Man, I love what they've done here. Like, I really, really do. This is a good-looking roster with these three coming in. I mean, LeJuan Watts, like an absolute beast. Pretty much a near clone of what Darren Williams was this year. I mean, size-wise and ability and what they do on the floor, like, man, if you're going to lose Darren Williams to the NBA or to the transfer portal, whatever, and you slide Watts in here, there's not going to be a huge drop-off. Like, he's 6'6", he's 230. On offense, he can handle the ball. He can stretch the floor. He can make plays all over the floor. We know McCaslin likes Williams as that playmaker at the 4 spot. He's not a slouch defensively, Watts. Like, he's got a really good motor on that end. I don't see Williams returning to college. Some pro team, he'll be a late first rounder. But you can't get any closer to a player profile replacement than Watts. If Williams does come back, like, this is just an absolute scary roster. Bryan and Atwell, man, they kind of profile similarly. Like, Bryan was 65th in the country in offensive rating, so he's a little more efficient than Atwell. I love that in the 6 games against Tier A opponents, like, he posted 126.5 offensive rating, which is really, really impressive. Anything over 120. So he's more of like your off-ball scoring wing, doesn't turn it over, has a really good IQ. This kind of guy that you want to put around JT Toppin, who demands so much attention. Just an elite shooter, 38% from 3 over the last 3 years. Atwell, like, yeah, he does profile similarly, size, kind of the position that he plays, kind of an off-ball guard. You know, he can flat out shoot it himself, man. He's a high-volume scoring wing. To me, he's more of like your 15 to 20-minute microwave scorer on this type of roster, where he kind of spells Bryan and another one of your guards, you know, for 15 to 20 minutes. But I think overall, man, you got size, you got position flexibility with this, and I've been a big fan of LeJuan Watts' game, man. I think he's gonna pay major dividends if they do end up losing Williams.
Toppin sticking around and then adding Watts, Bryan, and Atwell. Quite a haul so far this offseason for Grant McCaslin. We'll see what else they do there in Lubbock. And we hope, if you're watching with us right now, that you hit those like and subscribe buttons, of course. Get us over that 1,500 subscriber hump. We would definitely appreciate that. Darren asking another question about Tech and asking if the Longhorns wouldn't have lured Beard away from Tech. Would they have a banner in the rafters? I'm not going to tell you no. I mean, we saw what the type of run that he could make at any campus, honestly. And then again, Ole Miss this year, what do you know? A team that we all took a big, you know, we didn't really think very highly of them to keep it clean going into the tournament. And then what did they do, you know? So, yeah, that's a fair question to ask there about Beard at Tech because, you know, he's going to be doing big things at Ole Miss. And, of course, Mike and I, if you watch this show, you know that we both are fans and supporters of the Longhorns and wish Chris Beard was still here, but understand why he's not, obviously. But that's the irritating part about it is that should be. Anyways, long story short, that's a good question there, Darren, and I can say that he won't. The live chat is on fire. Big Blue Nation in full effect. Peanut Butter Posse saying he likes Kentucky better. And, of course, it's his unbiased opinion in the chat, of course, right there. Peanut Butter Posse will let you know. David C. saying go Cats with a blue heart. I'm guessing that's their Big Blue Nation as well. Allie Jack asking about J. Shane Woodard from ECU. Mike, hadn't seen anything about him in the portal yet. Have you seen anything with J. Shane Woodard?
No, I haven't. I mean, yeah, we're trying to cover 500 guys, let alone all 2,100. But I mean, he's a guy that played 21 minutes a game, 6-4. Not sure, Allie Jack. So we'll dive into more of that if we find that he's in the portal. But not a guy that's really going to move the needle from my perspective. So.
We lose Mike right there. That's all right. We're going to go ahead and move on to Georgetown here. Make sure you hit all those. There he is, back in the saddle again. Hit those like and subscribe buttons. Looks like somebody hit that button. It looks like we're at 1,500 subs. We made it. We appreciate you for doing that. Make sure you hop in the chat. Let us know if it was you. We love all of our subscribers, and we appreciate everybody for pushing those buttons and sticking with us. On to the moon now, 1,500 and beyond. Let's keep it going here. Georgetown, Mike. We've been teasing about talking about this Hoya class. It was a big breakthrough for Coach Cooley in year 2 with 18 wins, including 8 during Big East play, which is more than the previous 3 seasons combined. Sledding has been tough for Georgetown, to say the least. So, again, a team like this that is on the upswing, it would appear, getting a haul in the portal that is pretty diverse. There are a lot of these guys doing different things that can help out, different strengths. I'm hoping to combine all of those strengths, Coach Cooley is, into sort of a Captain Planet type thing where I have the heart and earth and the water and all that stuff. Coach Cooley is trying to do that with these guys. Who is in this class, and is it enough to help Georgetown take the next step, Mike?
I like what Georgetown is doing. I know, like, the first year under Cooley, it was kind of a little bit of a mess. We loved that PV came in for this roster. Obviously, Sorber was a beast. Had a lot to do with plenty of those 18 wins and those 8 conference wins. Thomas Sorber being a big part. But I think KJ Lewis is a stud. Like, he's going to affect the game on both ends. We talked about him the other day. Kind of like what Mike and PV was able to do. Obviously, they're not similar, like, players, position-wise, things like that. I'm not saying he's going to be as big of an impact as PV was, but he's going to be an impact player in the Big East. Like, he didn't shoot it great last year. I think he's got some positive regression coming from where he was last year, at least from the three-point line. I just think defensively he can really affect the game. Man, I really, really like KJ Lewis's game. So I think he's going to be a big boost for Georgetown. You need guys that have won too, man. Like, that's a big thing that this program needs. We talked about how big PV was coming from a TCU program that just seemingly won and got to the tournament every single year. Well, obviously you have KJ Lewis, Langston Love. If he could ever stay healthy, he's just such a weapon and a winning player. He's been in that Baylor system. He's been a rotational piece on a team that is consistently in the NCAA tournament and making runs. So it's a big guard, wing, 6'5", shoots 38% from 3 in his career. He just knows how to win. So I really like that. Duncan Powell, kind of an interesting piece. Like, that 4 spot last year was kind of filled with guys that had upside, but we just couldn't really solidify the position. Drew Fielder, Burks. Powell's a player that you kind of know what you're going to get every single night. He plays hard. He's going to stretch the floor. He's going to battle on the glass. He's not going to turn it over. So I really like the pickup. Deshawn Harris-Smith, kind of a disappointment at Maryland. I don't know what to think about him. I don't think he's going to carve out a huge role just with what Georgetown's projected to have back. Like, we never, we talk about the transfer portal and stuff. We're talking about Mac and Epps potentially being back. We just don't know because there's still that window till April 22nd where guys can jump into the portal. So, if it stays consistent and they keep their roster where it's at, I have to love this backcourt with Lewis and Love joining the fold. I just don't know where Harris-Smith kind of fits in this thing. More of maybe a longer impact player, longer term player. He's going into his junior year, so you're really going to only have another year after that. So I think we got some G-Town people. We got this chat absolutely blowing up right now, Jay.
Yeah, it looks great, and we definitely appreciate everybody for hopping in there. Peanut Butter Posse actually asked about Acaden Lewis ending up at Georgetown and he can't be a day one starter. It says, as Peanut Butter Posse thinks, at a blue blood here. We got who do we have in here? We got Clark.
Yeah, everybody jumped in, man.
Who's that?
Yeah, everybody jumping up in here.
Yeah, everybody's in here for sure. Damian right there. Go Dogs. Good stuff there. Acaden loves St. John's in high school because of Mac. Okay, all right. See, this is the type. Hey, the liveliest live chat in all of college basketball, living up to its name right now. So make sure you hop in there with them. We love David C. hopping in there right there as well. Loving to hear from anybody. Mike, we were talking about a lot of these guys, and Clark mentioned that the 5th guy you don't have listed is the most intriguing feature in Isaiah Abraham. Any thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, he's got skill. We didn't really get to see it. He is interesting upside wise. I mean, he's a top 100 recruit from the 24 class. So yeah, and Clark obviously looks like a Georgetown fan. So yes, we know Fielder. It did switch from USC to Boise State there, but looks like he knows his stuff. So appreciate Clark jumping in the chat, man. I think Abraham does. I don't know that he's going to make this huge like game-changing impact. Otherwise, UConn would have definitely used him as a 6'7" wing forward. Like they could have used someone like that. But nonetheless, like you're talking like a long-term prospect. Like he's a guy that you definitely can see doing some major damage as he continues to develop and grow his game.
That's something that we don't always think about when these players with all this talent and pedigree hit the portal.
Yeah,
it's like
why wasn't he playing?
if they would have been, if they could have helped that team out, if they could have helped Hurley and that team out this year, don't you think he would have been on the floor a little bit more? You know, like it's like, why isn't he playing? So that's something to take into consideration. Sometimes it's just not the right fit. Sometimes it's a
I'm with you, Clark.
thing.
Clark's saying he's got potential.
But the potential, exactly right, Clark, and we're all on the same page there. The potential being there, a great fifth wheel, if you will, to this Georgetown class. Making sure we're hitting all those buttons now, like and subscribe. We got to 1,500, and let's keep it rolling now as we get on to the old Texas Longhorns right up the road here from Mike and I in Austin, Texas. It is indeed Miller time here in the capital city. New head coach Sean Miller been busy in his first couple of weeks getting the roster put together. Got a 3-man transfer class full of upside. Speaking of upside, of course, the crown jewel of this class is his former player, Dailyn Swain, who follows him from Xavier. Then he pulls 2 fantastic bigs with upside with Vokietaitis from FAU and, of course, Heide from Purdue as well. Mike, the most impressive thing to me about this first class for head coach Sean Miller is that all these guys could be around for multiple years. It doesn't look like these are just like guys, hey, let's shove them into this pot of stew right now, this gumbo that we're going to try to mix in and see if it works. And if it doesn't, let's get rid of them and start all over again. These look to be much more long-term, down-the-road type of plays, which is not necessarily the approach that a lot of these coaches are taking nowadays. But 3 players all in the top 200. Swain is a top 10 guy right now on the top on the big board over there at drroto.com. And Vokietaitis is a big man right there, 7 feet tall, Mike. And you know what? You can't teach that. So what are your thoughts on this class that Coach Sean Miller has brought to Austin?
Yeah, I like it. I wasn't jumping up and down as a Texas Longhorn supporter, right? But I think he does get the most out of, his players. So, with Swain, that's a guy with NBA potential, probably a lot higher on him. He's probably like 20, 30 on most people's big boards. But, give me a 6'8" wing with upside, with NBA potential. Defensively, he's a menace. He's just going to continue to get better. Vokietaitis that broke the other day when we were on the show, man, just put up an impressive freshman year, strong rebounder, shot blocker, knows how to draw contact. He's got to learn to defend without fouling, but he's got big upside. Cam Heide, like diamond in the rough for me. Like I get it. A couple of things working against him here. People are going to say, well, he played with Braden Smith. You're going to get open looks. I get it. He was 11th in the country in offensive rating, /49, 39, 80. And he's going to have a hard time putting up big numbers in Purdue's system when you're coming off of Zach Edey and TKR. 2 guys that have, Ken Palm top, national players of the year. And then TKR put up like the 6th best season on Ken Palm this past year. So for me, Heide, like he's still got position flexibility. He can play the 3 or the 4. He's an elite 3-point shooter. And as a Texas supporter, we haven't had a 4 that can stretch the floor in what feels like forever. And when you have guys like Tremont Mark, who's an isolation player and a rim pressuring wing, along with Dailyn Swain, who's not an outside shooter, you need some bigs that can shoot the 3. So for me, man, I like where this class is going. I know he's retained some of his guys. We talk about those once the portal kind of closes, so we get an idea of if they actually are returning. But yeah, I kind of like this Texas class, man.
Again, not one where we've seen classes come into town that had a lot more excitement behind them, but didn't necessarily see the results on the floor in March. So we'll see how this one goes. Again, if you can get Sean Miller to just use those players and mold them, if you can get them for multiple years in the same program and keep them in the system, a lot to be excited about there if you are a Longhorn fan. Make sure you push all those like and subscribe buttons. We're still breaking down some team spotlights here. 2 more to go before we get into some mid-major news and some best available in the portal. Let's get to Washington right now. The old Huskies under first-year coach Danny Sprinkle left a lot to be desired as they struggled to a 13-18 record overall. Dead last in offensive efficiency in Big Ten play, Mike. And the portal class that Sprinkle's bringing in will address that issue pretty quickly. Quimari, Peterson, Jacob Ognacevic come in after stellar careers in the mid-majors. Speaking of mid-majors, both of those guys have done damage in the mid-major ranks, and Peterson and Ognacevic will do the same here for the Huskies. At least we'll look to for sure. Wesley Yates is back after spending a year at USC, another player that we're seeing leave and then go back to a school that he originally was at. And then Lathan Somerville arrives from the East Coast as a young big that you can develop. So, Mike, how do you like what Washington's done so far this offseason?
Yeah, I like it. We had that deal where Sprinkle came over, brought Ostabor, $2 million NIL deal or whatever. It just, outside of Ostabor, like, there just wasn't a lot to get excited about. I think he's taking some swings here with these mid-major guys. Like, buckets are what these guys get. At least the Peterson, Ognacevic from the mid-major ranks, and then Wesley Yates is probably my favorite of this class. But you look at Peterson, like SoCon Player of the Year, he shot 42% from 3, showed improved decision-making. The question for him and Ognacevic is, how are they going to deal with this transition to the P5 level? Peterson, he didn't have one game, and we mentioned this the other day, against Tier A opponents last year. He only had a 75 offensive rating in the 4 games the previous year, but the one that he did was the 20-point outburst against the Sprinkle-led Utah State squad. So I think, Danny saw that and was like, man, this guy can play a little bit. The problem is, like, these mid-major guys that, they come to the Big Ten, a little bit more of a grind. I think Peterson's got a little bit easier chance to make the transition than Ognacevic. We saw him kind of get eliminated by Iowa State in the NCAA tournament, but the dude is a double-double machine. It's pretty cool to see him come back after missing the previous year with injury. My problem is his Tier 1 games. He had 3 games this past year. He had a massive turnover rate. His turnover rate spiked, almost doubled in the 3 games. He produced 0 stocks in those 3 games, and his free throw rate was 20 points lower. He just struggled to get to the rim against teams that are much more physical, and that's what you're going to see on a night-in, night-out basis when you come to any of the Power 4, Power 5 levels. So the guy that I think that has a chance to be the most successful is Wesley Yates. He's an absolute bucket getter. I really was impressed with what he did in a weird Musselman rotation over at USC. He needs to work on his playmaking, help get these guys some easier shots, and defensively he's just kind of average. But I think Sprinkle unleashes him on the offensive end. And like you said, Jay, like Somerville's more of a project, kind of forced into a weird playing time situation with Rutgers where they didn't really have a big, so he it was kind of a mess there. So we'll see. I think he's more of a developmental player, though.
Good stuff. The live chat is still popping off. Eddie hopped in and asked, so what date is the portal close? And then he did figure it out. But just for the sake of putting it up there, it is April 22nd. So if you're watching live with us right now, it is currently April 13th. Even on the East Coast, we're not on Monday time yet. We got in a little bit earlier than we have in the past, of course. So, but yeah, loving it, loving the conversation there. Let's keep it going. Let's keep that live chat going for sure. Darren, I don't know. Should they try to sign a Yeti? I mean, do we think that a Yeti could get a double-double in Big Ten conference play? I would probably put a Yeti at like 7 and 6. I don't know if we could go full double-double, Mike. What do you think?
I don't know that we can go full double-double there.
No, I don't think we can. I'll say 7 and 6 for sure. And then Eddie chiming in one more time on Washington. Playing for Washington is a grind. Worst home court advantage in the Big Ten. Worst travel logistics of all the Power Fives. Indeed, it's a tough gimmick out there on the West Coast for Washington and Coach Danny Sprinkle. We'll see if they can improve off of that 13-18 record from last year. Moving on now to the team that we talked about, Texas earlier. Previously, Sean Miller was at Xavier, who then decided, okay, Sean Miller's out. We're going to poach Richard Pitino from New Mexico. And he's been very, very busy over the past couple of weeks. And as they have picked up 7 of the top 200 players on our big board here. Top 300 players, I should say. 7 out of the top 300 on our big board. A nice mix of talent for Coach Pitino. Gabriel Posado is going to grab a lot of headlines in this class, Mike. Tre Carroll also bringing a ton of experience. One of the best names in the game, all right? He's
So
going to be, but it's not just a gimmick. He's got the game to back up the name. And then, this is, like you said, basically 7 of the top 300 on the big board. A big class for Coach Richard Pitino. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm intrigued. Johnny K's jumping in here. Done a nice job in a short time. Yeah, I think he has. Going to be strange to have him in versus the Pops. That's going to be cool to see. I love it. So here's where I'm at. Like, first 2 things that stand out, the shooting and the size. But here's the thing. Recently, that really hasn't been Pitino's thing. So we know he likes to get up and down. He's been top 25 in tempo during his 4 years at New Mexico. Now, as teams in New Mexico, they didn't shoot a lot of threes. Like, he typically wanted to get out in transition, put pressure on the rim and half court sets. Donovan Dent was there. The roster that he putting together doesn't really have that vibe. It's going to be interesting to see how he kind of adapts. Does he go more to like his Minnesota roots? When he was the head coach of Minnesota, they didn't play as fast. They were really, really big. They were top 50 in average height his final 3 years there. And that's kind of what we have. We kind of got this weird mix of like a lot of size and a lot of shooting. You mentioned Posado here, like one of the most impressive freshmen people didn't really hear about. Like, he's probably got the most upside of the group, but I'm not really sure that we see a huge jump from him making the move to the Big East. He is a kid, though, at 6'7", that's going to create some matchup problems for defenses. I just worry about the efficiency. You got these 2 bigs, Anthony Robinson. He flashed some promise last year at Virginia during his freshman year. You got Papi Njai. He did kind of the same at UNLV, a 10% shot blocking rate. Like, these are guys that are going to be rim protectors, rebounders. You don't expect much of them offensively. At that 4 spot, you got Tre Carroll, you mentioned, and Philip Borovikinen, who's following Pitino over from New Mexico. But Carroll in particular, like, he's such an underrated player. He can score inside and out. He's a factor defensively. Borovikinen is more of like your floor spacer. He knows Pitino's system, going to provide some of that leadership, make it a little bit easier for these guys transitioning. And then you got these mid-major guards, Malik Moore, and then All Right. They're kind of like microwaves out of the mid-major level. Moore's an elite three-point shooter, just kind of a solid overall guard. Wright had a really good freshman year. He's wired to score, but still, man, I worry about the transition. You're moving a lot of these guys from the mid-major ranks to the Big East. So, we got UConn, Creighton, St. John's. Like, it's not going to – Providence looks a lot better. So, yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a grind here for Pitino in year 1.
Off the top of your head, can you think of another school in this point whose class is more of a mixture of these mid-majors, these guys on the come-up, a larger mixture than this group for Coach Pitino? I can't think of one off the top of my head where there's just this many guys that are going to have to step it up in a big-time fashion and a big-time conference on a night-in and night-out basis. So we'll see how it goes. Obviously, a lot of respect for Coach Richard Pitino and what he's done and what he'll probably continue to do, including blocking guys like our guy Eddie Congress on Twitter 10 or 11 years ago for getting on him for leaking Eric Bledsoe's high school transcripts, and now he's the coach of his alma mater. That's the type of stuff that we want to hear.
Yeah, only here.
That's right. That's the type of stuff you're getting in this live chat and all of college basketball right here on One and Done. Johnny K, they will be all right indeed. What a name, what a class so far, and what a great offseason for Coach Richard Pitino down there for the Mustangs. I don't know, Mike, in New Mexico to Xavier, a promotion in your eyes? Obviously, like, some of these coaches view these jobs differently and different points in their careers. Do you obviously, I feel like this is a step up in terms of prestige, but how do you feel, how close do you feel like a program like New Mexico got to getting to that next level under Pitino?
Yeah, it's an interesting, it feels lateral, but it's not, because you're moving from the Mountain West to the Big East, right? So, do I think you can? We talked about the Mountain West. They're coming off of 2 of the best seasons, and they haven't really had much going outside of the San Diego State run. Moving to the Big East, he's going to be able to get better players, access to better athletes. Like, we're really going to be able to see what he can do, because at Minnesota, obviously, it's Minnesota, right? It's in the Big Ten, but this is Xavier. Like, he has a chance to do some special things there. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I'm with Johnny K. It's going to take a couple of years, man.
Yeah, and they'll be patient with him. He'll get some time, and he'll build it up. And, who knows, this year, and this may be one of those things where you take 7 or 8 guys out of the portal, and if 3 of them really stick, 3 or 4 of them stick, and then you can retain those guys, and then just
got some young players too. A lot of freshmen, sophomores.
So that's the idea here, right? How many of these players can you keep in your program year after year after year and get the most out of them? It's tough to do that at any level of college basketball, but Pitino, both of them for that matter, but Richard Pitino at Xavier will have a chance to do just that. All right. Like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. We got over that 1,500 subscriber mark. We definitely appreciate everybody that's hit those buttons for sure. Hop in that live chat. It's on fire tonight as always. If you want to drop a fire emoji, flame, whatever you want to do, there it is right there. Drop it in there. Let us know if you're hanging out with us here live on a Sunday night, or if you're watching later on. If you're the best part of waking up is one and done in your cup. So you go, you can just drink your coffee and watch One and Done. If you're doing that, whatever, maybe it's the next Wednesday and you're just catching up, let us know about it. Hop in the comment section. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. All right. Good stuff here for the Musketeers and Xavier. All right. Let's get to some mid-majors. As a matter of fact, as David C. drops them in there. Love it, buddy. Thanks, David. That got me. That's giving me that energy to get through the mid-major 5-pack. All right.
Gotta show some love.
We love ourselves a 5-pack on One and Done, and we're going to do just that for some mid-major news here. So UNLV wing Jaden Henley headed to Grand Canyon to play for Coach Bryce Drew. Wake Forest guard Davin Crosby set to join Kennesaw State. Creighton redshirt freshman Larry Johnson. Yes, if that name looks familiar to you, yes, that Larry Johnson picks McNeese. Miami forward Isaiah Johnson-Origu decommitted from Iowa and announced his intentions to play in the Summit League for the Tommies of St. Thomas. And then Tulane guard Mari Johnson will lace him up for the Highlanders of Radford. Xavier, yes, thank you, Eddie. Appreciate that. It is Xavier. But, Mike, let me know about these mid-major landing spots. Do you like any of these?
Yeah, man, we love us some mids, man. Like, these are the 13s and 12s that we didn't get to see advance. But we're going to try to get 1 or 2 of the 13s and 14s that we didn't get to see advance. We can see hopefully a couple of those in the next tournament here. But, yeah, I mean, Henley, tons of P5 experience, UNLV, DePaul, Minnesota. Played really well last year, shot 35% from 3, career highs in efficiency and scoring. He's going to be a go-to guy for them. Should be like a 15 to 16 point per game guy in the WAC. So really interested to see how he plays with in that system there. Cosby, another down transfer, just looking for opportunity, dealt with injuries his first couple of seasons. Started at Alabama, transferred to Wake Forest, flashed a little bit, but I think he's really going to thrive in Coach Pettaway's up-tempo, like 3-point shooting scheme. So he's wired to score. I think he'll be able to get some buckets. And then Johnson, man, formerly, like a highly touted recruit in this 24 class, like redshirted, should get a lot of opportunity in Coach Bill Armstrong's first year. So I wouldn't be surprised if he puts up some big numbers. And then Johnson-Origu, another former top 150 recruit. He's from the Minneapolis area, so kind of a homecoming of sorts. Steps into one of the most efficient offenses in the country. I think St. Thomas is like 4th in effective field goal percentage last year. He can play both forward spots. So, Coach Tower, he's got a good one here. And then with Mari Jordan, I was really impressed watching him late in the year. He stepped it up down the stretch for the Green Wave and has really good size and can really shoot. He's also a pretty good rebounder for his size, and he plays some defense. So I think he's going to make a huge impact here as he moves on to Radford. Should be able to put up some nice numbers there.
No doubt about it. We love us some mid-majors. We certainly do, and these are guys. Hey, what are the odds that you think that Larry Johnson ends up in a dress like his dad did doing ads? I don't know. I don't know if he has yet or if he ever will, but Grandmama was definitely like the early 90s, one of those guys that you didn't mess with. Such a talented basketball player was Larry Johnson. Dad Larry Johnson, and of course we have Larry Johnson here, the son of the former NBA star. Yes, guys, sometimes I go back and forth on Xavier and Xavier. I understand
So do I.
Xavier, guys. You know,
100%.
it's so hard for sometimes. I get it, Eddie. Trust me. We're all good, though. No problem. There's no problems with it. Let me know how you're feeling about it in the live chat.
Gotta find some more haters, Jay.
Sure. Hey, why not?
Hit the subscribe button.
Yeah, why not? Make sure you hop in the live chat. Let us know how awesome we are, and that's it. No, of course we know everybody. We're kidding, of course. But this live chat keeps it real, and we love to hear it all the time. Last segment here, Mike. As we wrap up this portal show, let's get to the best available in the portal, another 5-pack. This is a little bit of a caveat here, right? We're going to leave off our number 1 and our number 4 players on the big board, as both of them are serious threats to go to the NBA. And, of course, number 1, Darian Williams, and the number 4 is RJ Lewis. So, as you see right here, boop, 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 on your viewing device, we have the top 5 available, excluding those RJ Lewis and, of course, Williams as well, that we feel pretty strongly will be back in the college ranks next year. So Jackson, Rice, Watkins, Ewan, and Reed here in a 5-pack. Mike, a lot of impact players, a lot of guys that we have seen do it at a high level of college basketball, all looking for a new home here. So what are you feeling about these 5 available in the portal as we speak?
Yeah, some really. What's crazy is that we no longer have the grad students can jump in June, July, right, and just completely blow this thing up as far as the transfer portal. But we're having everybody jump in within this 30-day window that ends in 9 days of this recording. So a lot of players have already made their decisions. Which last year, if we looked at this, we had a bunch of guys that felt like in the top 20, 25 that were still available by this point, but things have changed obviously this offseason. I think with Jackson, man, like somebody's going to be a really good scorer, just high ceiling, former 5-star. Rice, you're going to get, somebody joked about don't care about winning. I think that's a thing, but that's, it's not really something that's subjective, right? It's more of an opinion. But with Rice, you're going to get experience, outside shooting. Watkins, the versatility playmaking. If he stops fouling every 5 seconds and stays on the floor, he's super effective. Ewan, a strong rebounder, can really score around the rim. And then Reed, he just entered today, high upside athlete. It's gonna be weird with Taylor Bowen coming in. They got some athletes coming in. Position versatility with him going out the door here for Bama. So I think he's got a really, really strong game. And depending on where he goes, I think he'd be a pretty impactful player, man. So yeah, some really good talent still out there, Jay.
And the live chat is killing me. I'm over here trying to keep it together. I'm just reading. It's so good. It's so good. Now, Eddie, it's all love, my friend. I know we're all good here for sure. And, of course, Peanut Butter Posse is going to keep it lively as well. Darren always does. Man, I love this crew that we have that always hangs out with us here. As we talk college basketball, such a fun time here on One and Done. Those are 5 guys that are still available. Our top 5 available on the big board over at drroto.com that Mike and Nate have been pouring a lot of effort into for sure. As Peanut Butter Posse continues to offer alternate pronunciations of the Musketeers school. Mike, I wanted to toss it back to you one more time before we close this show out. Because I'm having trouble keeping it together myself. So what do you
Just reading through these are hilarious. Peanut Butter
It's
Posse,
great
man.
stuff,
You guys
man.
are awesome. Like
this is fantastic.
No, man. Like, yeah, it's awesome. Like we're so busy watching so much film, going through so many numbers through the off season. Like I probably watch more. I don't want to say more, right? But I watch a lot on a lot of these players, so we can give you guys good information. So, David C, appreciate the love, man. I kid because I care. Yeah, we're not trying to, Hey, man, we're from down here in the South, man. So
Yeah.
we're gonna mispronounce some things from time to time.
And that's quite all right. All love
Absolutely.
in these parts. We definitely appreciate everybody that hung out with us tonight in the live chat, including our friend Michael Peterson, who was first in the live chat tonight. Hope you're recovering well, man. Keep Keep on progressing, and we'll see you next time in the live chat. And then Allie Jack, Damian Cox, Clark Townsend, David C., Johnny K., our guy Darren, Eddie Congress, and, of course, our guy Peanut Butter.
Peanut Butter's killing us with the number one. I'll give you Purdue. Braden Smith, TKR are back. UConn's going to be up there. Houston's going to be up there.
Are you sure it's not Kentucky, Mike?
Kentucky's going to be up there.
All right. So
North
you
Texas,
think maybe some
everybody
votes?
Hey, guess what? Everybody's preseason number one.
Hey,
all
everybody.
0-0.
Hey, we're all winners here on One and Done, Mac. That's the environment we want to create. Sure. Except we're not, because Mike was the winner of the Bracket Bids Challenge. Darren was the winner of the One and Done Bracket
Shirt's on the way.
The shirt is in the mail, my friend. The shirt is in the mail. We definitely appreciate everybody right there. Hit all those buttons. Then you see right there at One and Done CBB on all those socials, especially Twitter. I am at Dr. William Cannon on X. I'll follow you back. MC Holland 34 on Twitter. The OG Money Mike, the captain of the One and Done ship, that is. The OG Money Mike, Mr. Mike Holland. Make sure you tell somebody you love them and you have those notification bells on for us, because you never know when we're going to drop. We're dropping all the big news all off season, 365 days a year. We're talking college basketball, and we got one of the greatest college basketball communities around that you will ever find. The live chat was on fire tonight. We hope you enjoyed the show. We hope you pushed all those buttons. We got over 1,500 subscribers tonight, y'all. Big milestone for us here. So thanks for helping us do that. Tell somebody you love them. Take care. And until next time, my name is JAYHEINRICH. Come again. Peace out.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drrodo.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.